Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. You know what time it is, update time once again in the Battle Realm, and I am back with everything that you need to know for the April 2024 update in MCOC. We have a few more than 6 or 7 things to go through this month, but let's jump right in, starting with number 1, the new champs for April, which were announced just a day or two ago. They are Spider-Punk and Prowler. Now, both of these champs are actually the same person, Hobie Brown. I didn't actually know about this until just yesterday, the day before. Both were previously in the Summoner's Choice votes, which is interesting. The embargo for these champs are still in place, so I can't really say much else. Spider-Punk will be Science, and I believe Prowler will be Tech. I will say that Spider-Punk has a very cool mechanic in his kit that I think people are really going to like. And I do want to call out this thing in this little blurb here. President Norman Ozzy Osbourne. I had a really good laugh about that. So very excited for these champs. They both look very cool. Art department knocking it out of the park once again. Number 2, from the ashes of a barren forest, the king has risen once again. Deathless King Groot is finally going to be available in April. I am so excited for this guy. If you've been a viewer of this channel for any length of time, you know King Groot, the original King Groot, one of my favorite champions in the game. And I didn't really have a time to put out like a TLDR for this guy, but I'll put something quick up on the screen right now that we can talk through. So just to kind of point out the differences between the original and the Deathless version. In general, the overarching thing you want to take away here is that there is less regen in the Deathless version, but more damage. A lot of the same immunities. He has traded the poison debuff on the special 2 for an incinerate debuff, and you can increase the potency of that incinerate debuff by using these ignition buffs, and you gain ignition buffs whenever you consume one of your furies, either by removing a debuff on yourself or refreshing something on the opponent. Another thing to note here is that the debuff removal on him is no longer classified as a purify, so that's really helpful. He has an increased duration of malice, and the cooldown is also lower. And the chance for gaining fury buffs during cooldown is also increased to 30%. So all of these changes are kind of designed to replace a lot of what you would have gotten before from synergies and also from the Gamora relic, which is the best relic for him. So also a little bit of burst damage on the heavy. That's nice to have again. And the armor breaks from his special 1, instead of reducing the potency of future armor ups, they now reduce energy resistance by 8%. Per armor break. So he has like just enough difference between the original version to make him useful in different types of situations. Last thing I think I want to point out here is that the SP2 burst damage is also higher, and you get a bonus damage against hero tech champs. So before, the original King Groot would get triple damage against robots. The pool of champions that you can now get that burst damage in is higher, so they lowered it from triple to double damage. But you should be able to take advantage of that against a much wider variety of opponents rather than just robots. And then I talked a minute ago about the regen being lower. So at Sig 200, the regen on Deathless King Groot is like 50% of what the originals is. So, you know, that is kind of the trade-off for the additional damage, right? The Sig starts pretty much at the same spot. So Sig 20, you're going to start at about the same point as original King Groot's regen, but it will just scale slower and cap out at 50%. Really, really excited for this guy. Can't wait to get him. I have been saving my generic rank 3 gem from Necropolis, and there is a better than good chance that I end up using it on this guy, given that there is almost certainly going to be like a guaranteed dupe available during the next rotation of the seasonal Everest content, spring of whatever, spring of sorrow, spring of suffering, I don't know, whatever it's going to be. So we'll see what happens with that, but again, very, very excited for Deathless King Groot. Number 3, the side quest for April is called Heavy is the Crown, and normally I don't spend too much time talking about side quests in these update videos, but I do want to point out that the format for the side quest next month is all new. It's, you know, they're calling it all new. It is very similar to previous formats. The one thing that you do need to be aware of is that you can only do one difficulty the entire month. So you need to just do the highest difficulty that your roster will allow and stick to that. If you try and mix and match difficulties, you're going to miss out on all the exploration rewards. So if you can do threat level 5, stick to that and only that for the entire month. The other thing I want to remind you of is that the rewards from the side quests will continue to be that Mysterium, that new currency that they started using in March, and then you can spend that on bundles in the Trader's Outpost. And I don't believe the bundles in the Trader's Outpost are changing. I think those will remain the same for the entirety of this saga, so you can continue to save up that Mysterium. Make sure you grab those Nightcrawler runestones if you haven't already, and then you can just save the rest for those bundles. Number 4, after what has felt like an eternity since 8.3 was released, we are finally seeing the finale of Act 8. 8.4 is being released in April. The final boss of Act 8 is this corrupted Punisher whose name is Glykon. And obviously no spoilers for the fight itself. I will say that for most people, I think that he is going to be the most challenging boss by far out of the 4 that we have seen. But the good news is that I have it on good authority that your favorite boss guide creator will have a Glykon guide ready to go when Act 8.4 is released. So you can definitely look forward to that. Number 5, the finale to the Winter of Woe will start next week. As I'm recording this, it's going to be next Wednesday, April 6th. It will last for 1 month. It will be a Gauntlet-style quest with 2 paths, and you'll have to deal with all 4 of the Winter of Woe fights that we've seen so far, along with 2 brand new fights that nobody has seen. So that should be interesting. Not really sure how the paths are going to be set up in this quest. If you're going to see, like, all 4 fights that we've seen on each path and then 1 of the new fights on each side. No idea how that's going to be set up. As far as objective points go, there will be 1 point for completing each path, so 2 points from completion and exploration respectively. There will be 4 objectives for Paragon players, and then there will be 2 additional Valiant objectives. So in the past, the objectives for content like this have been something like, complete the quest without a skill champ on the team or without a cosmic champ on the team. And given that there are 6 total solo objectives, it feels like the objectives are going to be similar to that, or maybe it'll be like, complete the quest with only a team of science champs or something like that. So speaking of objective points, if you have earned all of the points so far, so you've done the robot objective on the Absorbing Man, you've gotten the Grace point, you've done the Deathless Guillotine objective, you will be able to skip a few of these objectives. There's no bonus for getting above and beyond the final milestone. So you get the last milestone, and then you can just forget about the rest. Unless you really want the gold, I think there's gold in the objectives too. So if you're really hard up for gold, I think there's like 100k or 200k per objective. So yeah, we'll see what happens with these 2 brand new fights. The Absorbing Man fight feels like an eternity ago. And the 3 fights since then have been manageable. I hope that they have figured out a really good way to handle the regen in that Absorbing Man fight, whether it's going to be a passive heal block or what. So he should not be as progress reversing as he was in that first couple weeks, as that was extremely painful. So see what ends up happening with that. Number 6, the buff for April is Gladiator. I think this guy is going to be way stronger than he is right now. The buff is very positive, and I do want to point out a few things about here. I'm not going to read through all these bullet points in detail. The first thing I want to point out is his signature ability. So right now, you get a certain level of ability accuracy reduction on armor up effects when he has a vigilance buff active. Going forward, that is going to be a flat 100% ability accuracy reduction, and you're going to get that full 100% reduction at Sig 1. And then the scaling part of his signature ability is going to grant you a vigilance buff at the start of the fight between 2 and 15 seconds. So Sig's really going to be helpful in increasing that initial vigilance, and that's going to prevent armor up buffs from triggering on champions for the start of the fight here. So you think about Red Skull, for example. If you have a max Sig Gladiator, you can basically completely disable Red Skull's armor up buffs for 15 seconds at the start of the fight, and that's going to give you a huge head start in trying to burst him down. So very, very helpful for that. Second thing is this one here. While unstoppable, confidence cannot be lost during special attacks or when Gladiator has ultra confidence. So one of Gladiator's kind of like little known mechanics is that you can actually deal damage to a defender during their own special attacks, and while you're unstoppable, you basically just go in and just, you know, keep punching and attacking while you're getting nailed by the special attack, and you have like a damage reduction while you're unstoppable. Previously, you could lose confidence doing that, so you're really discouraged from doing so. But now you are, you know, actually encouraged to do that. So I feel like this part of Gladiator's kit is really going to be the difference between, you know, getting like, you know, a good amount of damage and like a really good amount of damage. So looking for opportunities to attack during special attacks is really going to take him, I think, to that next level, and now you are not punished for doing so. The third and final thing I want to bring up with regards to his buff is this one here. This was something that I pushed for. I found this very frustrating part of his pre-buff kit. It says that if you don't strike the opponent by the time the unblockable expires, it does not go on cooldown. So right now, the way Gladiator works is you want to do your, you know, medium, light, heavy attack, you know, similar to Doom, similar to Chavez. And then once you have enough confidence, when you knock the opponent down with a heavy, you're triggering an unblockable buff on yourself. And the point of that unblockable buff is to allow you to throw a special attack like almost right away. You can kind of get like a pseudo stand-up intercept by doing so. So right now, that unblockable, even if you don't actually attack the opponent while the unblockable is up, it will go on cooldown. And then when you need to use a special attack, the unblockable is really not available because it's on cooldown. So going forward, this is a really positive change, I think. If you don't actually hit into the opponent after that unblockable effect appears on you, it will not go on cooldown, and that'll enable you to use it right away when you're ready to use a special attack. So overall, very positive changes to Gladiator's kit. I think my friend and alliance mate Vega did a really good video on Gladiator. I would encourage you to check that out. I think the damage is going to be way better now. I love the anti-armor up utility. Going to make him a really good choice for like super tanky champs like Red Skull, who I mentioned before. I think the armor AAR is also going to work for future Ant-Man, which would be nice. Nimrod also, if you see a Nimrod in Battlegrounds here or there. So yeah, really excited for Gladiator. Probably rank mine up here at some point. All right, number 7, Mastery Loadouts. These were announced yesterday on the official channels. This has probably been one of the most requested features of all time in MCOC. So the way it's going to work, everybody will have access to 3 Mastery Loadouts, and swapping between them will be a 35 unit cost. And I think for the week when they are released, they're coming out on April 1st, I think. This is not an April Fool's joke. Mastery setups are going to be free for a week, so you'll have a 1 week period to set all these up for essentially no units, and then switching between them will be 35 units. The other thing I want to point out here is that you can default one of your loadouts to an Alliance War defense, and it will automatically use that loadout when you place defenders in war. This sounds awesome. However, Alliance War, a little painful right now and not very fun. And, you know, get ready for people to be setting up the most toxic Alliance War defense mastery loadouts of all time. You're going to see, like, you know, Max Unfazed to stop Mr. Negative, Max Assassin to stop Herc, and everybody is going to disable Willpower, which will make Warlock pretty much useless as well. So, you know, a bit of a pro and con there with the Alliance War defense loadouts. A lot of min-maxing going to be happening in this for sure. Number 8, couple of minor changes I don't want to spend too much time on. The first one here is updates to persistent placement phase. This is for alliances who are running fewer than 3 battle groups in Alliance War. This has been a pain point for a long time for these types of alliances who frequently have people like swapping in and out of a specific battle group, whereas people who run 3 battle group wars usually have, like, you know, pretty much static battle groups. So hopefully this alleviates a lot of the stress for the officers in these alliances. I know some of these people who run, you know, 2BG war, and this has been a very frustrating experience for them, so I hope this definitely makes it a bit better for them. And then down here, Saga badges are coming in April. This should just help you, more easily identify which champs are going to be in the Saga, which should help you for, whatever type of content they come out with that requires Saga champs. That's going to do it for this video, folks. Let me know what you are most excited about. April, a ton of stuff happening. Brand new champions that look great. 3 of them, in fact. Act 8.4 finally, so some solo content for those of you who enjoy that. The Winter of Woe is finishing up, so a lot of Titan shards available if you're able to finish all of those objectives. Gladiator's buff, just a lot of really cool stuff happening next month. Let me know in the comments below what you are most excited about, and as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.